Okay. Okay, I have all our celebrities in hand now. Woo! Okay. In case I failed to mention who's here tonight, we're going to go down the row real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Mulkey, as you've already know. The one, the only, Kimmy Robertson. From the beginning of David Lynch as Mary X, Charlotte Stewart. Okay, everybody together. Wendy, 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 Wendy. And the ever popular, ever lovely, ever ravishing Sherilyn Fenn. Okay, this is how Q&A is going to work. I don't want to talk, which I know is shocking to many of you. So, this is your opportunity to ask whatever question it is you want to ask. Only thing I ask in return is you come up to this microphone right here and ask the question. Okay? I'll go ahead and get the party started because I know some of you are shy. I, however, am not. So, here's the one I personally have always wanted to know for you, Sherilyn. Sherilyn, this is the first question, and this is actually my question. And if I could get the sidebar conversation stopped, that would be fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. The question I've always wanted to ask Sherilyn, and I never have before. So my question for you, Sherilyn, is if you had your way, what would have happened between Audrey and Cooper?
Do I need to answer that? Okay. They would have been together. They meant to be together. And frankly, as you know, it wasn't never planned that way. Apparently, he was supposed to be going towards Joan Chen's character. And then when they got us together in a few scenes, things started happening. Yeah. And what I'll say is, it was just unfortunate that the storyline went a different way, and sometimes they go different ways for not the best reasons.
Okay, come on down. Oh no, you get the mic.
This question's for Wendy. Wendy, you know, one of the neatest things about your character, besides your character, was your persona with the eye patch. And I want to know a little bit more about how that came about and what brought that part up.
You mean, I need some clarification. You mean in the story why she has to wear an eye patch?
Just, yeah. I mean, you know, like what made that part of your character?
Well, Big Ed has this beautiful monologue while Nadine is in a coma. And he talks about when they were on their honeymoon and they were hunting, and he shot a rabbit and it ricocheted off a rock and a little piece of it hit Nadine's eye. And he talks about how brave she was, you know, that she just kind of went, and then he drove down the mountain with her and she never complained. And I think he was probably thinking, oh God, now I'm really stuck forever with this woman when my heart is elsewhere. But I learned about the eye patch when I had my first audition with David and Mark, and Chad, just talking to them, and David said, well, Wendy, you seem like a real jolly, nice lady. Do you think you could be angry? And I had done an on-camera audition for Joanna Ray, who was the casting director, for a different role. And you heard her in the back in her lovely British accent say, "Oh yes, David, Wendy can be very angry." That was it.
Joanna Ray, who deserves so much credit because she's an amazing casting person and, you know, is very close with David and brought so many people together, which is, to me, every single part in a film and a TV show is important, whether you're giving people food or whether you're, you know, just there interning as a PA. Every part matters. And when people do it with respect and love, which is kind of the tone that David sets, great things happen. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely true. Hello.
Keep the mic, Wendy. It's also for you. I'm curious about your feats of strength in the show. If you have any specific memories about them, you know, the slideshow that you showed of you like flipping a guy, and how that was staged, or any of the stuff on the set, or
Flipping a guy. Do you mean
you're like
wrestling with Mike?
Yeah, all the wrestling.
How
and
I
throwing
wooed
guys.
him? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just any.
I have an unusual approach. No, that was done with Gary Hirschberger, who played Mike. He had harness so that he could. I mean, I can't very well pick someone up on my shoulders and twirl them around and throw them across the room. I really can't. I'm stronger than I look, but not that. So he was on a harness, and they were able to, you know, work that out that way.
Do you have any memories of the slideshow ones? Like, there's a few shots of you like mid flipping a guy.
Do I
have any memories of staging those shots?
It was a long day at a high school in Van Nuys, shooting all those, and we shot a lot of those gym scenes with the coach and so on. It was really a lot of fun.
Great, thanks.
So, sure.
Mr. Mulkey. You know, a lot of the themes and peaks, or a lot of the darker themes that people were attracted to, your character actually had nothing to do with all the craziness that the whole Laura Palmer storyline, but you achieved this menace, but yet this likability. I mean, you're like Han Solo gone bad. You know, as an artist, what influenced you to kind of approach the Jennings character, who had nothing to do with all these other main dark thematics, but this person who was such a bastard, but yet could put a smile on her face?
That's a bullshit question, man. Menace? What? Okay. Well, you know, Hank was in the joint, you know, and that's a great question. Thank you. We had talked earlier, so we're quasi friends. So he told me he wouldn't hurt me, so it's good. I'm glad. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. You know, Hank had his own agenda and that shit, you know, but he was trying to get out of the joint and do a little business, just like my friend Steve did 11 years in San Quentin for armed robbery, and so he was the kind of he was a skilled liar. You know, he didn't know the difference really between truth and lie. So he had his own agenda too. And so I modeled Hank after Steve, a graduate of San Quentin. There it is. Thank you. Did I screw this whole thing up? Okay, good, okay.
A joint question? I guess the last quick. We all, I'm sure, appreciate you guys coming out. It's been really awesome. I'm curious what keeps you coming back? What brought you out the first time? That's my whole question. What keeps you coming back to the Twin Peaks Fest, and what brought you out here?
Yeah, the fans.
Yeah, you. I can't believe how many new friends are here and how many old friends who have been here for year after year. Thank you so much.
What? It's from the beer? We can't hear anything up here. Can you hear me now? Put this on here.
She's putting the hashtag on.
Now, is it the same? Oh, and the bed's at the Salish.
I just want to add one more thing.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I can't believe how much you know about our show that we have forgotten.
Sherilyn, hi. We were all left at such a cliffhanger at the end of season 2. How would you have gotten out of that situation? Did they write that into the script for season 3 on when you were attached to the bomb?
Thank you, sorry. All I know is that I got the script and I promptly called David, why am I dying, and all of this. And he just basically said, it's a cliffhanger, we wouldn't kill Audrey, it's not, there were certain things, I'm sure that were frustrating for him in network television, and where almost always he would do what he wanted. There were certain things that, at the end of a season, there has to be cliffhangers, and yeah, unless he was lying, which I don't think he was, I just said, am I dying? And he's like, no.
But did he work out a way how you were going to get out of that situation, or he was going to... Did he work out a way in how you were going to get out of that predicament?
No. He would eventually, because that's David. I might have said this last time I was here, but an interesting executive said to me once, David and Mark went fishing for barracuda and caught jaws. It was not their plan. They did, and they get together and think about future things. Oh, he'd be mad for me to tell you that, but they do. Because television, and I think I believe it's partially because of what he did in television. He really forged this new, ground where he didn't think his audience was stupid.
Yes!
And would show the idiosyncrasies and the crazy ways that we all are. If you're honest enough to see the little weird things that we do, we're just people. So, yeah, I just pray for the future that I hope I hope he finds a way to do something again in television. I really do. And I want to be a part of it.
Hi, guys. Thank you for coming out again. I'm Ethan. I met a couple of you already. Thanks for being so cool. Hi. I was curious. We're all here to see you and this wonderful thing you did and performances you gave. I'm curious, who do you get nervous about engaging with and meeting famous or otherwise, who makes you nervous to think about potentially meeting like this or getting to engage with? Or have you had that experience before? Who are you like, oh my gosh, butterflies on my stomach. I want to meet this person that was very influential to me or exciting to me? All of you, indeed. If that's okay.
I have the mic.
You do, Kim. Please.
Benedict Cumberbatch. And he was at Comic-Con.
Yes, he was.
So was I.
Yes, you were. So was I.
But I was working.
You coulda met him. You got the pull.
No, I couldn't.
Come on.
I was being herded around like an elephant in Barnum and Bailey circus by Ken Ross, the president of CBS Home Entertainment.
Yeah.
With that Blu-ray thing. So
I didn't stop you to talk to you there.
Benedict Cumberbatch. But, you know, I mean, come on. He was there in San Diego. Even in the city of San Diego, for anybody to ever be there like him is a miracle.
For his acting
He
ability or
was
just
in the
because you
next-
find him attractive?
Because he's so wonderful. Why would he ever go to that city? And he was in the next room. The next room. So I'm going to sit up here and draw in my coloring book.
I once was so nervous meeting Henry Fonda that I asked him if he had a joint. He said that's the other Fonda.
I met Barack Obama when he was running for state senator. I'm from Chicago.
Oh.
I saw him give a speech, and I was blown away, and I went home and I called all my friends, and I said, you won't believe it. It's here. It's happened. It's happened. We've got the real thing, and he's right here, and there's just going to be no stopping him. And his name is Barack Obama. So that was, for me, the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
Hi. Joni, where are you? Joni, who is the person that I would freak out if I met? You have to know. Oh, God, no. I already met him for years. No. Rafael Nadal. I would die. He's #2 tennis player. He's fucking amazing. He has a heart of gold. Love.
Chris? You don't want to say?
Man, you guys make me all just so nervous. I can't stand it. I don't know. I mean, I freak out No, actually, I'm pretty calm, and so I don't know. I don't really. I guess who? Who? I don't know. I mean, it's all, it depends on how much I've had to eat. If I ate too much cake, I get a little jumpy and stuff like that. But I'm not really a specific guy. I suppose if I met the president, I mean, I had dinner with Dick Cheney, and that was really fun, No, just kidding. Now that.
No politics?
If I met Dick Cheney or honestly, or what was that? His partner was president at the same time. Who is that guy? George. Who? Was he president? I'd freak out if I met one of those guys, but not for any good, possibly reason. I don't know, but that's. Or if I met the King of Spain, Hector. Okay, but I don't know. You better take this mic from me now.
You mentioned the King of Spain. When I was 24 years old, I went to Europe with my first husband. We went on a honeymoon, and we were invited to lunch at a lady's house in Italy. And I was seated next to a very charming young man about my age, about 24. And I looked, and there was silverware, like out to here. And I'd never been anywhere like this. So I looked at this guy and I said, "Excuse me, what do I use?" And he said, "You start from the outside." Thank you. He is now the King of Spain.
It's a general question for everybody. Next year will mark the 25th anniversary of Twin Peaks, and there are people out there who are campaigning to get the show brought back and start it up again. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but in a fantasy world where that would happen and you were all on the show, what would your characters be all about? And, you know, just go crazy and tell me what you would like to do if you were on the show. Twin Peaks 25 years later.
Well, I know this for sure, that Hank is still in prison. But bad girls need love too, so I don't know. Maybe just got out. Maybe he got a lawyer and got out and came back and beat the shit out of Wendy. Maybe Wendy and I hook up. Yeah. How about that? Damn, that'd be good.
I've got a picture.
She's got a picture, right? We do have a picture.
Lucy became a developer and built all the houses up above the Great Northern up here. And she's really rich and a yuppie.
Bobby would be in prison still, and Garland and Betty would be living in the south of Florida, retired.
Nadine would go back to therapy, and Dr. Jacoby would just get sick of hearing about it, and one day he would just reach for that coconut that he keeps on his desk, and he would just lob it. And it would hit her in the head, fall down, and she'd wake up and she'd be 18 again.
How do you follow up that?
You're Audrey Horne, you can do anything you want.
No, but my first stupid thing is, well, what would David say? You know, I don't know. No, I don't think she has her own whorehouse. I think that she took over her. I would think of her as a businesswoman and taking over her father's business and marrying Special Agent Al Cooper, Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Al Cooper, and I don't know how. Like, I think she'd be a little bit dodgy. Like, you know, she'd like cross lines that she couldn't cross and get what she wanted.
I have the thought that Audrey will rescue Cooper. She'll save Cooper and free him from Killer Bob and bring him back.
Yes. Yeah, it was a funny thing because it was the coolest thing because there was no plan for that to happen. They were going to put him with Joan Chen, and then we started having scenes together, and it was absolutely 100% nothing sincerely between us, but like Audrey Horne, especially Agent Cooper, they just clicked. They did. And I remember David was like once to me, "Are you in love with Kyle?" And I'm like, "No." Because I wasn't. I said, but Audrey thinks he's freaking the bee's knees, you know? I mean, so it was cool.
Okay, I got one for Wendy. We would like to hear about it was not filmed, right? It was not filmed, but in Fire Walk with Me, you had a deer skinning scene. Can you talk about that?
Well, it was in the script. I saw it in the script. And so, yeah, I thought, oh no. But they didn't shoot it because they couldn't figure out how to do it without actually killing a deer, because to make it, if it were fake, it would just look fake. And for a while I thought, I'm going to have to do this. So I'm going to have to learn how to do this. And people who know me know I grew up on a ranch. I love animals. I rescue dogs. the idea of killing an animal, Bambi, So, I'm very happy to say that was a cup that passed my lips. I didn't have to do anything, but I would have. David is the kind of director that, I was telling someone this, that he has that ability to make the safe place, and you will do anything for him because you know that he won't steer you wrong. You know that he has absolute faith in you, and you will do whatever it is that you need to do, and he knows you will, and it's going to be great. So you'll do anything. And I would have done it. I'm glad I didn't have to.
Hello, I have a general question for everyone. And Charlotte, I apologize ahead of time because I sort of already asked you this earlier, but I wanted to get everybody else's take. I just wanted to know, like, in the past when you all were acting and trying out for parts, if there was ever a role that you really, really wanted to get, but you didn't get, maybe somebody else got it, or you just didn't have time to do it, so you missed out on the opportunity. So I was just curious if you had a role that you really wanted to do, but you just didn't get to do.
I think the one that pops to mind was that I had gotten of Mice and Men that I was already signed on to do, and then Fire Walk with Me came, and David was not happy. But I'd signed on to do this other movie. So, yeah, that's just one of the times that it happened to me, with David.
Well, I'm a stage actor, so my life is auditioning, and you just, you're auditioning all the time. You're really a lucky working actor if you get maybe 1 in 20 that you work for. So, I could go on all day about the ones that, but, a friend of mine told me, Wendy, your resume is the stuff you've done. It's not the stuff you didn't get to do. It's the stuff you did. I thought, oh, that's right. So, and I've been really lucky, so I'm glad. Yeah.
I had answered your question earlier, but I thought of another one. One night, not long after we started Twin Peaks, went to dinner with David Lynch and Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern and Jack Nance. And I'm sitting at the table, and David Lynch, Laura Dern, and Kyle with the other end, and I saw them looking at me, like all three of them did. And I found out later they were trying to figure out if I could play Laura's mother in Wild at Heart. And they ended up using Laura Dern's mother.
I really only have one that I can remember, and it was long time ago. I was asked to come in and audition for Dick Donner with Bill Murray, and for 2 hours, I did this fairy, and they loved it and videotaped it, and it was all improvised. And then Bill Murray asked me if I would go out for a drink with him, and I said, no. I said no. What a dumb shit. And then out comes the movie Scrooged with Carol Kane doing all the shit I did. That's what happens when you're a nobody.
We love you. Well, I'm friends with the Murray brothers, and I drink with them. That was a wise choice, Kim. Don't go out with them. Yeah, this question is sort of like, I'm going to have my owl has to lay down for this question. You go to sleep as an actor, going, oh, man. The Tom Waits song talking about the one that got away, Anyhow, I worked with the director, Ron Sheldon, back in the early 80s. And I played a little baseball, and I can pitch. And so I went up and did a little film for Ron Sheldon called A Player to Be Named Later. And I played this pitcher who was in the minor leagues, and I actually pitched 3 innings for the Bakersfield Outlaws, which was the AAA team for the White Sox in Chicago. And so we did the film, and then he said, "You're locked. You're gonna get this part. This is great. This is great." And Tim Robbins is gonna play your catcher, and they hired. The studio wanted this guy, Kevin Costner, to play Kevin Costner, you know that guy? Yeah. And Kevin and I played on the same basketball team at the same time. And so they hired him for that baseball film he did. I can't remember the name of it now. But I'm not bitter because they hired me for Hank.
Thank you all so much. This is so awesome. Mine's kind of a 2-part question. One for Sherilyn. Is it true that Audrey is responsible for pushing Johnny down the stairs and for his condition? I think I read that somewhere, that it was not...
God, I hope not. The most amazing thing is that you all sometimes know more than I do. I don't have any information about that in terms of the script or any of that, but I would say if I'm playing Audrey, my sense was the very, I don't even, minimal 1 or 2 scenes I had with Johnny that I loved him. Then he was my brother. So I don't know how that came in and if it was just like one of those weird things where they're trying, but that wouldn't have been my truth at all.
Okay, good.
Because it was like almost like part of the pain or the flaw is that, Johnny's not good enough and therefore he's stuck away somewhere and, mom's treated like shit and I'm hiding in cupboards and you know what I mean? But it may go against what they had written. Honestly, I'm not sure that I remember if they said that, but fuck them if they did.
Right. And also, I was just wondering what each of your most memorable moments on the set of the series was. Most memorable moment for each of you working on the series?
Which series? I've had 7.
Twin Peaks.
No, Twin Peaks. Yeah, right. Oh, wait. Halifax, where are you? All right, Newfoundland, Halifax. Where are the people from Canada? Clay Boris, Canadian director in Toronto. You asked me about that, but I was too busy, so thank you very much. Good. What was the question? In Twin Peaks. Oh man, are you kidding me? Or where? For me? Smoking cigarettes with Jack out and back, waiting to work. He was great. Oh man, we just sat on the steps, and I would sit out. You know, and I'd sit out and play guitar, and that's a really good song, Chris. I like that. I mean, he was great. I mean, really, we sit out on those crummy honey wagons out back, you know, look at Kyle's Airstream, and we wish that we were in it. Well, Kyle bought an Airstream, and he just says, "Nah, you don't need to give me a honey wagon. I got my own trailer." Most memorable moment? I don't know. There's so much fun. There's so many fun things. I liked going up to One-Eyed Jack's. That was fun. I like all the fighting that I did. Like all the lying. I don't know. I mean, gee whiz. Well, the most memorable, it wasn't filmed, was when I got the script and I found out that I was going back to prison. But that reaction wasn't filmed. It was it was me at my house going, "Oh no, I'm done in the series." Oh well, yeah, but that was pretty cool. But one of the most memorable moments, honestly, was I went to school with. I went to the University of Minnesota with Mark Frost and Bob Ingalls and also my wife Karen Landry went to University of Minnesota too, right? And I got my sister Mary on as a set decorator, and Jill Ingalls went to the University of Minnesota, and so we had all these. So we were out shooting. I think it was the night that I shot Eric and turned him into a vegetable. I shot him through the window, and we were sitting there with Warren Frost, who had been my directing coach at the University of Minnesota, and Scott Frost, who was an AD at the time, and Mark, and the four of us were sitting, and I said, "Zoe, you have to remember this, okay? Be thankful for moments in your life." And I said, we have to be thankful for this moment in our life where we're sitting out here eating chicken. I think we had lunch at like 1 o'clock in the morning because it was a night shoot and it was really cold. And I said, and everybody's going, "This sucks." And I went, "No, this is one of the greatest moments. Just sitting here, all these people that went to school together are making this great TV show." And so consequently, I'm thankful for that. And that was a great moment,
There are so many, but one that probably won't mean anything to anybody here except Chris and his wife is, oh my God, there's Audrey. Okay, so I was in the office area and somebody came up to me and said, "Kimmy, there's somebody here who wants to meet you. Does anybody remember the story yet?" And I said, "Okay." And she said, "No, but he really wants to meet you specifically. He had to come here from England and he wouldn't come unless his people set it up so he could come here and watch a day of shooting of Twin Peaks, and specifically the sheriff's station, and specifically he wants to meet you." While she's babbling on forever, I'm noticing this redhead at the end of the hall, and I'm like, "God, that looks a lot like Ginger Baker." And then she went, "London," and then I went, "Ginger Baker. He's some kind of musician," she goes, "a drummer." And I think I knocked her down as I ran by and ran up to her. I said, "Hi, did you come here to meet me? Hi, I'm Kimmy. I'm Kimmy." Act like a complete idiot. I could have ended up marrying him if I hadn't acted like such a jerk. What is it? All of a sudden today, it's like I'm upset about the heat, Ginger Baker. Bill Murray. Who else did I not marry? There's a, who? Several of you. There's still time.
Talking about memorable moments on the set, I was so grateful that Mark or David or whoever wrote the episode where Major Briggs has disappeared and Bobby comes home and finds his mom, you know, sad, very sad, and he sits down and she tells him the story of how sometimes when she's sleeping, he touches her hair because he doesn't know that she knows he's there. And it was such a sweet part of the love story between Betty Briggs and Major Briggs that never was shown any other way, because we were always kind of, you know, cigarette and a meatloaf or, you know, all that. But it really touched me, because by the time we got to shoot a scene like that, I had gotten to know Don Davis. And he was such a sweetheart. I mean, Don, he always came off as this big military man, you know, and all it. And he was just as sweet and dear as you saw in the movie last night when they showed him like an angel. He was definitely an angel. So that was really the most important thing for me on the set.
But the scene that made the biggest impression on me was when Nadine commits suicide. She's wearing her little prom dress, and she sets out the little plaid blanket, and you know, has the pills in little. And before shooting that scene, Mark directed that episode, and he said, "Wendy, what piece of music always makes you cry?" And I said, "Patsy Cline singing Crazy." So Angelo was going to write specific music for that, but they got crunched for time, and so that didn't happen. And he, you know, so we did, it was later, it was Angelo's music, but on the playback, as we were shooting it, they kept putting Patsy on. And what we had to do, it was really tricky. I told Brad this story, so it's in the book. It's in the book. But anyway, the camera starts over here. You know, my eye patch was on this side. So the camera starts over there, and it has to go around slowly. And I have to start crying so you can see the tear here. But I have to time it in such a way that by the time the camera gets over here, the tear is coming out from under the eye patch. So that was tricky. That was tricky. But we worked that out. But what I did not know, it was just happening, is that while that was happening and we're hearing crazy, I was saying goodbye. I wasn't saying it out loud, but I was mouthing it. I was saying goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And I didn't know it, but I was remembering a long time before, when my daughter was little, watching a documentary on PBS about the polar bears, and it was called Polar Bears, and it was called Say Goodbye. And we're sitting there watching. I mean, if I'd realized it, it was probably not the best thing for her to watch, but she's in my lap, and we're watching this, and the camera is pulling away from this iceberg, and there's the mother polar bear, and she's been shot. And the babies are on her, crawling over her. And as the camera's pulling away, Samantha's saying, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And so that was, I was using that memory, and that was my shameless use of sense memory. But it worked to save Mark's scene. So that I remembered.
What?
I just asked her why it was shameful, because I thought she was using her own story, but she said because she was using someone else's story. Samantha's story, not hers.
I was using her sorrow for myself. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I did it.
Because for me, if I don't like use my own truth or the, I don't know where I can't manufacture it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then there's this weird thing as an actor, because like if you use the fear that your child will die, well then like are you trying to get your child to die? I mean, it's really fucked up. And it's all distorted because your life experience is what is going to fuel whatever artistic pursuit you have, in my opinion. And the clarity with which you see that your life, yourself, your artistic pursuit, that's your gold. So, I was sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, what I'm supposed to have some great memory, but all I knew is like, I met David, and then he had said he was going to write for me a small role. So that's what I met for like Donna Hayward and Shelley and all that age group. And then they called a week or so later and said, well, he's going to write your role. And so there's very little to do. But there was so much to do, is what I learned in the little that he gave me to do. Something like, in the pilot, like sticking like totally planning to fuck her father over, which I could totally relate to because my dad was never there. So she's like, with the coffee cup and all of that. And I think what was kind of cool was that for me, my brothers, my two older brothers, after they saw it, were like, oh, you're still like that. So I was like, wow, David, like, connected to something that maybe even I wasn't necessarily aware of, but my brothers were like, oh my God, that's just like you, to do things. So that's my story.
Okay, this is going to be the last question right here.
Okay. Charlotte, hi. By the time you worked on Eraserhead, you were already an established working actor, right? What was it like to work on your standard Hollywood sets and then go work on that crazy shit? Thank you.
Well, it wasn't Little House on the Prairie, that's for sure. No, thank you for asking that, but I had already had an experience with David Lynch earlier when he was a student, when I made Eraserhead. And I had a little bit of knowledge on how he worked and knew that I didn't question. He had an image that he wanted, so I didn't question his direction. Just went with what he said to do, and it seemed to work out just fine. But thanks for asking that question. I was just in Minnesota, by the way. I was in Minnesota with 2,000 Little House on the Prairie fans. And some of them were Twin Peaks fans, and they came to me with Twin Peaks pictures to sign. It was so bizarre, And next week, I'm heading for France, where we have 500 Little House on the Prairie fans waiting to meet and greet. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I am so lucky. And then I just did a Bonanza fan event, and I don't even remember the episode I did on Bonanza, but, thank God for fans. I do. You do? Because I remember every single bit of dialogue and what my character's name was, and I was like, really? I said that? So, I'm so enamored of fans. God bless you. Thank you for making us feel so good.
All right, round of applause.